In May 2024, legendary Wall Street money manager Louis Navellier put his career on the line and predicted that Trump would not only win the election, but also trigger a massive stock market boom.
Donald Trump is going to win the presidential election. It's almost a foregone conclusion at this point. I think it's important you shift your money as soon as possible, because while the stock market is roaring right now, it's just a preview of what's to come when Trump is reelected.
He was right. As soon as Trump's win was announced, the stock market exploded higher, with the Dow Jones Index having the biggest post-election jump in 128 years. Just in the first week after Trump's win, many stocks jumped by double and even triple digits. According to Louis Navellier, whom the New York Times called an icon among growth investors, this is just the beginning of what he calls Trump's 100-day melt-up. And you better pay close attention because Louis Navellier has a history of seeing big investment trends before most people. In the mid-1980s, he predicted the PC revolution and picked big winners like Dell and Microsoft, making his firm the nation's top investment advisory service in the early 90s. He also predicted the rise of the internet and picked big winners like Google and Amazon. MarketWatch even called him the man who recommended Google before anyone else. He also predicted the AI revolution and picked NVIDIA in 2019 before it became the hottest stock in the world, before shares exploded as high as 3,423%. Today, this legendary investor is going public with a new prediction. He believes as soon as Trump takes office on January 20th, he will, with the stroke of a pen, open a rare window of opportunity for you to accelerate your retirement during the first 100 days of his administration. And if you buy the right stocks before January 20th, you could make massive gains during that 100-day period. And he's not the only one who sees this boom coming. The firm Yardeni Research says animal spirits will intensify, and they're predicting we could end up with a 1990s-style melt-up. Kip Herridge, founder of Vertical Research Advisory, says this is the beginning of a true market melt-up. We're in the roaring 2020s. This bull market is just getting started. And the Wall Street Journal wrote, Wall Street has rarely been more excited by an election. And they're predicting big, lucrative opportunities in what they're calling a new Trump boom. And the good news is Louis Navellier has developed a stock rating system that he uses to pinpoint which stocks could skyrocket in the coming months. It's almost hard to believe, but his system gave a buy rating to all of the top 30 performing stocks of Trump's first term, all of them. That includes NVIDIA, Tesla, and Enphase Energy. Those stocks exploded high enough to turn $5,000 in each of those 30 stocks into a massive amount of money at the end of Trump's first term. If you missed out on those profit opportunities during Trump's first administration, you now have a second chance because Louis Navellier believes history is about to repeat itself. So please keep watching because for over 4 decades, Louis Navellier has been using his proprietary stock rating system to help him find the most explosive opportunities before they take off for unbelievable gains. He found Amazon in 2003. Before it exploded almost 100 times higher. Cisco in 1992 before it jumped 123 times higher. Adobe in 1990 before it jumped 280x higher. Apple in 1988 before it jumped 617x higher. And Microsoft in 1988 before it skyrocketed more than 1,000x, just to name a few. And that is why the Wall Street Journal wrote, most money managers could only dream of having as much success as Louis Navellier. Please grab a paper and a pen to take some notes because over the next few minutes, Louis Navellier will discuss a few stocks that he's identified that just got a buy rating from his system, including a little-known company that's helping develop the next generation of artificial intelligence, which has been called the real game changer. Many experts are predicting this new AI will be released during Trump's second term. He'll also show you a separate energy play that could help power this entire AI revolution. And he'll explain how Trump's pro-Bitcoin policies could send an under-the-radar stock higher than anyone can imagine. Now, Louis Navellier is also warning everyday folks that not all stocks will participate in this Trump melt-up. Some companies will actually get hurt by Trump's policies. And if you have those stocks in your portfolio, instead of walking away with a lot of money, you could actually lose a big chunk of your retirement in the first 100 days of his administration. That's why he'll also discuss which sectors you should avoid like the plague, including a sector that could see a record number of bankruptcies. Here he is, Louis Navellier, with all the details.
Hi, I'm Louis Navellier. I'll fully introduce myself in just a moment. But first, take a look at this prediction President Trump made during his victory speech.
This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
I believe he is right. As soon as President Trump takes office on January 20th, I predict he will sign dozens of executive orders that could help trigger a melt-up in the first 100 days of his administration. The boom has already started, and it's just set to accelerate. Take a look at this. Just within the first week of Trump's election, several stocks began to explode higher for double and triple-digit gains. For example, shares of Innodata more than doubled. Serum Therapeutics holdings jumped 265%. And shares of BTC Digital skyrocketed by more than 500%. Of course, these are extraordinary examples of small-cap stocks. But normally you'd have to wait many years, even decades, to see monster gains like these. But this all happened within the first week of Trump's election. That's what I mean by a melt-up. It's a rare phenomena when certain stocks move higher and faster than anyone can imagine. It's happening right now, and it's happening fast. If you blink, you'll be left out. Because I believe this boom will accelerate during the first 100 days of his administration. Now, I understand some people will dismiss this message simply because they don't like the orange man. But I believe these people would be making the biggest financial mistake of their lives. And look, if you don't act now, if you don't get in on this Trump train, you can miss out on what could be the best 4-year period for stocks in U.S. history. And we may never see an explosive opportunity like this ever again. So please turn off all the distractions from the clueless mainstream media. They're already predicting economic chaos under Trump, just like they did in 2016. You see, shortly after Trump won that election, Forbes published this headline, predicting the most severe recession since the 1980s. Newsweek predicted Trump would trigger a crisis as bad as the Great Global Recession of 2008. The economist Paul Krugman from the New York Times was even more dramatic. He predicted the stock market would plunge and never recover. He wrote in the New York Times, "We are very probably looking at a global recession with no end in sight." They couldn't have been more wrong. As soon as Trump was elected, he actually triggered a massive boom in certain stocks that were set to benefit from his policies. I know that because in late December of 2016, while the mainstream media was predicting gloom and doom, my stock rating system was lighting up like a Christmas tree. And I went on to give a buy rating to the top 30 performing S&P 500 stocks during Trump's first term. All of them. And all of those stocks exploded higher for massive gains. Enough to turn $5,000 invested in each of those stocks into an entire retirement nest egg by the end of Trump's first term. I recorded this video because I believe history is about to repeat itself. My stock picking system has given a buy rating to several stocks that I believe are set to participate in this coming 100-day melt-up. Look, this is the same stock system that helped me beat Warren Buffett over the long term. The same system that helped me find 18 stocks that have gone on to soar more than 100-fold. Throughout the years, I've used this system to make millions for myself and my clients. So in the next few minutes, I'll discuss which stocks you should be targeting right now and which ones you should avoid. You see, despite this ongoing boom, you have to be very careful. I see a lot of people who are euphoric because of Trump's win, and for good reason. As Jeremy Siegel, finance professor at the Wharton School, says, President Trump is the most pro-stock market president we have had in our history. So I can't blame anyone for being optimistic right now. But here's the thing. Not all stocks will participate in this Trump melt-up. I predict some stocks will actually crash. Some of these companies might even go bankrupt. And a lot of people will get hurt in the stock market. And I don't want you to be one of them. I want you to be on the winning side of this Trump boom. You see, there are a lot of misconceptions out there. For example, everyone knows that Trump is a big supporter of fossil fuels. We became the world's largest oil producer during his first term. And he already promised that he'll drill, baby, drill during his second term. So, a lot of folks think oil stocks would be a great investment under Trump. But in reality, when you pump too much oil, you increase supply, driving the price of oil down. That's economics 101. And when that happens, it's not good for oil producers. That's a big reason why the energy sector turned out to be one of the worst performing sectors during Trump's first term. I know that's true because my stock system also gave a sell rating to all of the 10 worst performing stocks of Trump's first term. And most of those were energy plays. For example, at the end of 2016, right before Trump took office, my system gave a sell rating for Occidental Petroleum. It went on to crash 70% during Trump's first term. It gave a sell rating for Schlumberger before it collapsed as much as 79%. And it gave a sell rating for Apache Corp before shares went into a free fall, dropping as much as 90%. So please keep watching because in the next few minutes, I'll discuss not only which sectors I believe will participate in this Trump melt-up, but also which ones you should avoid like the plague. This could be the difference between walking away with massive gains in the next 100 days or losing a big chunk of your savings. But before we get to all that, let me fully introduce myself. Like I mentioned before, my name is Louis Navellier. Forbes once called me the king of quants because I'm the founder of one of Wall Street's first data-driven investment firms. You see, very few people had access to computers back in the mid-1970s because they were massive machines that filled up an entire room. Only institutions were able to afford them, and even fewer people had the expertise to use them. One of those institutions was the bank Wells Fargo. They were just a regional bank at the time, but they were trying to become the leaders in the investment management business. So using one of those mainframe computers, they launched a secretive project to try to find hidden patterns in the stock market. The Financial Times even called it the Manhattan Project of Finance, and it involved at least 6 scientists who went on to win Nobel Prizes in economics. I'm telling you that story because a few years later, I hit the jackpot. In 1977, a finance professor gave me early access to one of Wells Fargo's mainframe computers. This was a dream come true for me because I'd always been a computer geek and I started following the stock market even before I went to high school. So I knew from a very early age that I wanted to use the power of computers to try to find an edge in the stock market. So once I gained access to that computer, I went to work. I started crunching the numbers on the fastest moving stocks in the market, trying to identify what they had in common. I was essentially trying to reverse engineer the market's biggest winners, and I found a handful of factors that were driving all those stocks higher. So I built an algorithm around those factors, which I'll reveal to you in just a moment. Most people didn't believe in my project. They just thought I was a nerd with grandiose dreams. But I was so confident that I decided to launch my own investment firm. The result? Our stock rating system was able to help me pinpoint many of the fastest moving stocks for my readers at their early stages, before they became mainstream. For example, over the decades, our system helped me predict the rise of Apple, Microsoft, Home Depot, Google, Nvidia, Walmart, you name it. Soon I was making headlines everywhere. I was featured on magazine covers, and institutional investors like pension funds were basically begging me to take their money. That's how my firm went from managing $300,000 in the early 1980s to $6 billion by the turn of the century. Do you know that 90% of professional money managers cannot even beat the market? We not only beat the market, we crushed it. Over 20 years, I gave my readers a chance to beat the S&P by 3-1. Most people go their entire lifetimes and never find a so-called 10-bagger, a stock that returns 1,000% or more. Using my proprietary stock rating system, I found 160 of those stocks in my career. Many of them return much, much more than that. For example, Adobe jumped as high as 28,031%. Danaher jumped 52,056%. And Nike soared 88,655%. Throughout the years, I've updated and tweaked my stock rating system, but the secret sauce has remained the same. And I'll explain exactly how it works in just a moment. Because this is essentially the same stock rating system that rated a buy for all the 30 top performing stocks of Trump's first term. And I believe it's about to do it again during Trump's second term. It's already given a buy rating to a number of stocks. After vetting them, I want to share them with you today. Because like I said earlier, I believe we're watching the beginning of a historic market melt-up. And if you act now, before Trump takes office on January 20th, I believe the next 100 days, you'll have a chance to make so much money that it could have a real impact on your retirement and financial well-being. And it's all thanks to Trump's pro-business policies. You see, I had the pleasure of meeting President Reagan back in the early 1980s. His pro-business policies helped trigger one of the biggest bull markets in history. And that decade alone, I gave my readers a chance to grow their money tenfold. The Reagan boom was amazing. I never thought we'd see something like that again, not in my lifetime. But it's happening. And I'm not the only one saying it. According to pollster Scott Rasmussen, Donald Trump now has the opportunity to become the most influential president since Ronald Reagan. And this time, the boom could be much, much bigger. And it could happen much, much faster. Because Trump has something that Reagan never had. Republicans now control both the House and the Senate. And that means that during the first 100 days of his administration, Trump should be able to implement all of his policies, which is something he was not able to do during his first term. I believe Trump is about to light a fire under the economy by reducing the size of the government and letting capitalism work its magic. Goldman Sachs is predicting that his tax cuts alone could boost corporate earnings by 20% over the next 2 years. President Trump will also get rid of red tape in ways we've never seen before. Let me ask you something. If I asked you to swim across a lake with a heavy rock tied to your feet, would you be able to do it? Of course not. Even if you're a good swimmer, you'd drown. Well, in recent years, our economy has had a big rock tied to its legs in the form of excessive regulations. According to the American Action Forum, President Biden's excessive regulations had a cost of $1.8 trillion. To put that into perspective, that's 800 times higher than we saw during Trump's first term. In 2024 alone, the government issued almost 90,000 pages of new regulations. That's insane. Our economy has been buried under a mountain of red tape. But now President Trump is about to change all of that. I predict he will finally free the American people and businesses from the bureaucracy. Working with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, two of America's most successful entrepreneurs, I believe President Trump will drop a nuclear bomb on the bureaucracy that has been holding back America. That's why legendary hedge fund manager and billionaire Bill Ackman said, even those who voted against Trump are excited about what's going to happen with the economy. I think we're going to have a big economic boom. Growth is about to explode. Mark Andreessen, who's one of the most successful venture capitalists of all time, is also predicting a massive boom. He said, America is an economic coiled spring. Growth has been brutally suppressed, but there is so much more to build, and the payoff for all Americans will be incredible. Elon Musk is also optimistic. He predicted that Trump's administration will unlock a new age of prosperity. Make no mistake, Trump is about to create a rare opportunity for everyday Americans like you to turn a small stake into real wealth in the stock market. How do I know? Because my stock rating system has given a buy rating to a few companies in an explosive market niche. This is a hot sector that did really well during Trump's first term. You see, in 2016, even before he took office, Trump held a private tech summit at Trump Tower in Manhattan with executives from Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft to let them know he would be a pro-technology president. A lot of people didn't believe him. Shortly after he took office, Vox Media even called him the anti-tech president and said he crippled U.S. technology and science policy. But while the fake news media was saying all that, at the end of 2016, my stock rating system gave a buy rating on several tech companies that ended up being key players in the artificial intelligence boom, including Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Lam Research, AMD, and NVIDIA. Remember, at that time, virtually nobody was talking about AI, but my system had just given strong ratings to AI stocks. And that was an indicator that the AI boom was coming. And that's exactly what happened. Most people don't know this, but during his first term, President Trump signed Executive Order number 13859, establishing the American AI Initiative, which created the first ever national AI research institute, released the world's first AI regulatory guidance, and committed to doubling AI research investment. With just a stroke of a pen, Trump helped trigger the first wave of the AI boom, lighting a fire under all those AI stocks I just mentioned. For example, had you invested $5,000 in the shares of Amazon when my system gave it a good rating, you'd have almost $19,000 by the end of Trump's first term. You could have also turned $5,000 into more than $19,000 in shares of Apple, and more than $23,000 in Lam Research, a company that makes machinery used in the manufacturing of AI chips. Or look at Tesla, which is a leader in AI self-driving software. Had you invested $5,000 when my system rated as a buy in 2017, you could have cashed out with almost $50,000 by the end of his first term. Same story with the two biggest AI chip makers. $5,000 would have grown into almost $40,000 in shares of AMD, all during Trump's first term. Some of those turned out to be the best performing stocks over the last few years. Had you held on to some of these stocks, the gains would have been even bigger over the long run. For example, with Navellier alone, you could be sitting on as much as $269,000 today. Of course, this type of result is not typical, but that would amount to an entire nest egg for some folks. And while these were not official recommendations, if you had looked them up in their ratings and used them to help you make investment decisions, you could have seen some amazing gains if you held on to them. That was Trump's first wave of the AI boom, and it already helped mint 500,000 millionaires across America. But if you didn't have a chance to make those massive gains, if you missed out on that first Trump wave, I have good news. I believe Trump is about to kick off a second wave of this AI boom. Now, maybe you're looking at these monster gains from popular AI stocks like Navellier and thinking that it's too late. If you feel like you've missed the boat, I can't blame you. But I believe Trump is about to light a fire under a handful of AI stocks, just like he did during his first term. He has already promised to cut burdensome rules and red tape, such as Biden's AI executive order that mandated reporting requirements for AI companies. I believe Trump's pro-business policies will create the perfect environment for the development of the next generation of AI. I'm talking about a truly revolutionary new type of AI. Look, I know that so far we've heard a lot about AI, but we really haven't felt any major transformational change in our lives. That's because all the AI we've seen so far is known as narrow AI or weak AI, which is designed to perform specific tasks, like playing chess, answering consumer inquiries, or recognizing images. I believe during Trump's second term, we're going to see the next generation of AI, what scientists call artificial general intelligence or AGI, which is also known as strong AI. This type of AI would have the capacity to understand, learn, adapt, and apply knowledge across a wide range of activities and domains, just like humans do. But it would do it better and faster. It will unlock innovations and change our lives in ways we can't even imagine. I predict AGI will discover cures for many diseases. It will power autonomous robots that will act as our personal assistants, and fully autonomous cars that can safely drive us anywhere. Yes, I know all that sounds like science fiction, but I predict that's all going to become a reality during Trump's second term. As futurism says, with Elon Musk at the helm of AI policy, loosening regulations could lead to AGI being ushered in during Trump's second term. Now, for us to achieve this next generation of AI, we're going to need two things. Number one, a lot more computational power. And number two, a lot more electricity to power those supercomputers. Without those two elements, we'll never get AGI. The good news is, I found two companies that are working on those two critical factors, and they both got a buy rating. So let me tell you more about them. Because after doing my own analysis, I believe shares of these companies could skyrocket during Trump's second term. Let me cover computational power first. Just like I mentioned, AGI requires high-powered computers that can quickly process extremely large amounts of data. These computers are housed in AI data centers across the country. Nvidia's CEO called these facilities AI factories because they're essential for the development of this next generation of AI. As Forbes says, data centers are the new high-stakes game, and they're the backbone of this AI boom. The problem is right now, we simply don't have enough data centers. That's why the founder of Dell Computers, Michael Dell, says there definitely needs to be a big build-out of data center capacity. There are already lots of projects all over this country, but we could need 100 times more. That's why big tech firms like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Oracle, and Apple have already invested hundreds of billions to build new data centers. And they're not slowing down. In fact, take a look at this. They're planning to increase their AI investments in 2025. So if anyone is telling you this AI boom is slowing down, or that it's dead, or that it's too late to profit, don't listen to them. I predict this trend will greatly accelerate under Trump's second term. As Barron says, the AI-fueled data center boom is just beginning. And that's where this opportunity comes in. I found a little-known company that specializes in building those data centers. It has a buy rating, and I'm confident you could do very well with this stock. Because in early 2024, my system gave a buy rating to a few other companies that are involved in this data center build-out. And their shares all doubled in less than a year. For example, look at Vertiv, a company that provides cooling systems to AI data centers. After getting a buy rating from my system, shares jumped almost 200% in less than a year. Its competitor, Modine Manufacturing, also doubled after it got a buy rating. Or look at Comfort Systems USA, another provider of data center equipment. It has jumped as high as 140% in less than a year. I believe we found the next big winner. It's a company that's actually building AI data centers. Remember, big tech is investing hundreds of billions in data centers in a race to develop the next generation of AI. And no matter who wins that race, this company is set to profit big because it's on the receiving end of all those investments. I put all the details inside a special report called Trump's Second AI Wave, How to Profit from the Next Generation of AI. Inside, you'll find this company's name, ticker symbol, and my full analysis. I'll show you how to claim this report in just a moment. But first, let me cover the other factor that will be essential to the development of this next generation of AI. Remember, aside from more computational power, we'll also need a lot more energy. Just to give you an idea, when you ask ChatGPT a question, it consumes 10 times more energy than when you do a simple Google search. The next generation of AI, artificial general intelligence, will require even more energy. According to Boston Consulting Group, by 2030, AI data centers will consume the same amount of power consumed by 2/3 of all the homes in the U.S. Think about how crazy that is. Our aging power grid simply cannot handle that kind of energy demand. President Trump understands that. That's why he named AI as the focus of his energy strategy. With his baby drill approach, he said that his energy policy will win the battle for AI superiority, which is the key to our nation's prosperity. I predict President Trump will open more land and sea for oil and natural gas drilling, as well as build more natural gas infrastructure. He even tapped Chris Wright as his energy secretary. Who is Chris Wright? He's a fossil fuel CEO who made his fortune in fracking and natural gas. In fact, he played a key role in making America the world's largest gas producer and exporter. That leads me to believe that natural gas will play a key role in the development of this next generation of AI. And I'm not the only one saying it. Ollie Fenn, president of a company that secures land and power for data centers in Texas, says, in the short run, natural gas will fuel much of the power demanded by data centers. That's why I'm not surprised that my stock rating system just gave a buy for a natural gas stock that's perfectly positioned to profit from this boom. What I like about this company is that it operates in Texas's Permian Basin. Why is that a big deal? Because that region accounts for more than 40% of total U.S. crude oil production and a quarter of all natural gas in the United States. This company owns 43 natural gas processing plants and more than 14,000 miles of natural gas pipelines across the Permian Basin. It doesn't get better than that. So I put all the details, including the name and ticker symbol, inside another report called The Company Powering Trump's AI Revolution. I'd like to give you immediate access to this report because the gains here could be truly ridiculous. And I say that because in early 2024, my system gave a positive rating to other energy plays involved in this AI boom, and some of these exploded higher. For example, electricity company NRG Energy jumped as high as 90% in less than a year. Constellation Energy, a company that's providing nuclear energy to AI data centers, more than doubled in less than a year. After getting a buy rating, shares of its competitor, Vistra, jumped as high as 332% in less than a year. That last example could have turned $5,000 into more than $21,000 in less than a year if you had seen the ratings and decided to buy. Of course, these are extraordinary examples, but you can see how this tool could help you make investment decisions and potentially find massive opportunities in the market. That's why I want to give you immediate access to this special report, where you'll find all the details of what I believe will be the next big AI energy winner. I'll show you how to claim this report in just a moment. First, I want to tell you about another explosive Trump opportunity. You see, I believe we'll also get a melt-up in some crypto platforms and payment systems. I'm talking about certain Bitcoin miners, crypto brokers, and companies that are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Just look at what happened during Trump's first term. As soon as he took office, he signed a series of executive orders to roll back regulation in the U.S. financial system. Even though he wasn't a big fan of Bitcoin at that time, his pro-business policies helped trigger a boom in the crypto market. In fact, my system gave a buy for a few crypto stocks during his first term. For example, Oracle, a software company that's bringing blockchain tech to banks around the world, got a good rating. Shares went on to double in less than a year. So did MicroStrategy, a company that has been buying Bitcoin hand over fist. Shares exploded 369% higher in just a few months. And the system rated crypto miner Mara Holdings as a buy before shares exploded as high as 4,174% in just 18 months. That's enough to turn $5,000 into more than $213,000. Again, not in decades, not in several years, but in just 18 months. Of course, I can't guarantee you'll see gains this high, but if you missed out on those extraordinary opportunities, I have good news. I believe we could see another big boom in some of these crypto platforms and payment systems, because now Trump is 100% behind this technology. And that means that, for the first time ever, we have a pro-cryptocurrency president in the White House. That's a big change from the last administration, which essentially waged war against the crypto industry. Biden's SEC brought more than 100 legal actions against crypto firms, costing the industry $426 million in legal fees. Things were so bad that a total of 18 U.S. states have filed a lawsuit against Biden's SEC. accusing the financial regulator of gross government overreach against the crypto industry. Remember what I said earlier about swimming with a heavy rock tied to your feet? That was the crypto industry under Biden's administration. But not anymore. Trump is about to unleash the crypto market like never before. He has pledged to create a friendly regulatory framework for crypto, set up a strategic Bitcoin stockpile, and make the U.S. the global hub for the industry. In his own words, President Trump said he wants to turn the U.S., and I quote, into the Bitcoin superpower of the world. The bottom line is, for the first time ever, we now have the full power of the U.S. government behind the crypto market. That's why Trump's election has already triggered a boom, sending Bitcoin to new all-time highs. I believe that's just the beginning of the melt-up. And I found a company that's set to directly benefit from this boom. There was even a rumor that an executive of this company was being considered to become the new head of the SEC. After Trump's election, several analysts immediately upgraded this company to a buy, with one analyst even saying it's the top crypto play for financial deregulation. Like I showed you earlier, the gains from some of these stocks involved in the crypto market could be astronomical. Remember, during Trump's first term, one of these stocks jumped high enough to turn $5,000 into more than $213,000 in just 18 months. If you missed out on that boom, I believe you now have a second chance, because I'm now recommending a little-known crypto stock that was just rated as a buy. And to help you get started, I put all the details of this company in another report called The Bitcoin President, the #1 stock for the coming crypto melt-up. And the beauty here is, this isn't some weird, risky cryptocurrency. There's no need for you to open a new crypto account. You can easily buy shares of this company from any broker with just a few clicks. You'll find all the details inside this report, including the name, ticker symbol, and my full analysis. So how can you claim all the reports I've mentioned so far? I'd actually like to give you access to all of those reports, free of charge. All I ask in return is that you try my monthly flagship research service, Growth Investor, for the next 90 days, at zero risk to your subscription. Growth Investor is the only place where I publish my best ideas based on my stock rating system. Like I mentioned earlier, in the 1980s, I was able to reverse engineer the market's biggest winners. And I found the few factors that are actually common among the fastest moving stocks. It turns out there's only 8 financial variables that really drive stocks higher. You can see them on your screen. I'm talking about fundamental things like sales and earnings growth, analyst earnings revisions, cash flow, and return on equity. Every week, my system crunches all those numbers for over 6,000 stocks, assigning an overall grade to them. If a stock gets an A or a B, it means it's fundamentally a very strong company. But that's not enough for me to recommend a stock. My system also has a quantitative grade, which is truly my secret sauce. It's my proprietary measure of institutional buying pressure. That's a fancy way of saying that it tracks where the smart money is flowing. That's a big deal because it's those investors with deep pockets like pension funds, endowments, and hedge funds that truly move the markets. The stock could be fundamentally strong, but if those big institutions are not buying, the stock will have a hard time moving higher. For that reason, I only recommend stocks that have fundamental and quantitative grades of A or B after performing my own due diligence. That's how Growth Investor became the #1 performing financial newsletter in America in 2005, according to one of the nation's leading newsletter rating services. So how does this service work? Well, as a member of Growth Investor, every month you'll get a new stock recommendation. Growth Investor also comes with access to my proprietary stock grader. You'll be able to go on our members-only website, type any ticker symbol you want, and our system will instantly show you the grade of that stock. Now, keep in mind that a strong rating just tells you that the fundamentals of a company are strong. You should always perform your own due diligence before making any investments. But like I showed you here today, many stocks that got an A and a B grade during Trump's first term went on to produce massive gains. I believe history will repeat itself. But remember, not all stocks will participate in this Trump melt-up. Some companies will get hurt. So I'll be on the lookout for any stock that gets a C, D, or F grade, because that's a huge red flag. In other words, as a member of Growth Investor, I'll tell you which stocks to buy and which ones to avoid. From 1998 through November 2024, I'm proud to say that Growth Investor outperformed the S&P 500 by a phenomenal factor of approximately 3-1, including gains like 371% in AMX, 477% in EMC, as much as 3,400% in NVIDIA, just to mention a few. Now, does that mean every single one of my recommendations is a winner? No, of course not. That would be impossible. No one gets it right 100% of the time. But since 1998, we've been doing really well. Had you invested just $5,000 in each of my picks, including winners and losers, you'd have made almost $700,000 in pure profits. Again, I'm not cherry picking. That's including winners and losers. I challenge you to find a research advisory with a better track record. That's why billionaire Steve Forbes publicly said, I have the most enviable long-term track record. And that's why I'm confident to say that joining Growth Investor today could be one of your best financial decisions ever. When you join me today, you can expect a brand new recommendation every month, along with my full analysis of the market. And you'll gain immediate access to the reports I've mentioned so far. Trump's second AI wave, how to profit from the next generation of AI, and the company powering Trump's AI revolution, and the Bitcoin president, the #1 stock for the coming crypto melt-up. Every Friday, I'll also send you a weekly update, giving you my take on the events of the week, as well as a look ahead at the market. It's everything you need to know to stay ahead, and it's delivered directly to your email inbox. Plus, if urgent market or stock news breaks, or it's time to collect profits, I'll email you to explain what's happening and what it means for your Growth Investor recommendations. Look, I've charged pension funds and institutional money managers as much as $30,000 per year for my research, and they gladly paid it because of my track record beating the market for over 20 years. But a subscription to Growth Investor isn't going to cost anywhere near that. Not $30,000, not $3,000, not even $300. I think you'll be shocked how inexpensive it is. I'll tell you all the details in just a moment. First, I'd like to give you immediate access to a couple other bonus reports. The first one is bonus report number 4, Made in America, how to profit from Trump's manufacturing boom. Like I mentioned earlier, I predict Trump will unleash a domestic energy boom and lower the cost of energy in America. Cheaper energy prices will give U.S. manufacturers an advantage over foreign competitors. I predict the application of AI and robotics will also help drive manufacturing costs down. And on top of that, Trump is also planning to impose tariffs against unfair competition overseas. This combination of low energy costs, automation, and tariffs is a recipe for a U.S. manufacturing boom. And that's going to create an opportunity for you to multiply your money many times over. How do I know that? Well, that's exactly what happened during Trump's first term. Early in 2017, shortly after Trump's inauguration, my system gave a strong rating for a U.S. manufacturing company, Teradyne. By the end of Trump's first term, shares had jumped almost 300%. A few months later, the same thing happened with Axon, the Scottsdale, Arizona company that makes the famous electric shock weapon, Taser. By the end of Trump's first term, shares are trading almost 400% higher. Same story with the maker of generators, Generac Holdings. After Trump's election in 2016, my system rated it as a buy, and shares went on to jump more than 450% higher during Trump's administration. I believe we're about to see another Made in America boom. The opportunity is so big that President Trump's oldest son, Don Jr., is joining a venture capital firm that's 100% focused on these types of companies. And the good news is, with the help of my system, I found a Pittsburgh company that I believe is set to benefit from this manufacturing revival. You'll find all the details inside your special report, Made in America, How to Profit from Trump's Manufacturing Boom. It's yours free when you join Growth Investor. You'll also gain immediate access to bonus report number 5, the Trump losers, 3 stocks to avoid like the plague. Like I mentioned earlier, some companies will get hurt by Trump's administration. So you need to know which sectors you should avoid. For example, I'd avoid almost all of the integrated oil producers, because if Trump succeeds in bringing down the price of oil, many of these companies could get hurt. I'd also avoid green energy plays like solar and wind energy. Trump is all about drill, baby, drill. So I predict those green energy stocks will falter. In fact, the day following his election, some solar stocks dropped by double digits. I'd also avoid most big pharma stocks as well, because it's likely that RFK Jr. will go to war with some of them. These are just some areas to avoid. But inside your special report, I'll name 3 specific companies that are particularly vulnerable. My system is already rating them as risky stocks you should consider avoiding at all costs. I wouldn't be surprised if these stocks crash or even go bankrupt, because if you have any of these popular companies in your portfolio, sell them now. You'll find the names and ticker symbols inside your special report, the Trump losers, 3 stocks to avoid like the plague. This report is also yours free when you join Growth Investor today. Look, I know I've covered a lot of ground, so just to recap, here's everything you get once you take this risk-free trial. 12 monthly issues of my flagship publication, Growth Investor. Each month, I will email you a new edition of my Growth Investor advisory letter with at least 1 new investment opportunity and my full analysis of the market. Special report number 1, Trump's second AI wave, how to profit from the next generation of AI. Special report number 2, the company powering Trump's AI revolution. Special report number 3, the Bitcoin president, the number 1 stock for the coming crypto melt-up. Special report number 4, Made in America, how to profit from Trump's manufacturing boom. Special report number 5, the Trump losers, 3 stocks to avoid like the plague. You'll also get access to my stock grader, so you can check out the grade of over 6,000 stocks anytime you want. Plus, my team will send out weekly updates and buy and sell alerts. Remember, I've charged institutional money managers as much as $30,000 per year for my ideas. But I designed Growth Investor for everyday folks like you, not for rich people. So it's not going to cost anywhere near that. You see, even though I've been able to build generational wealth, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My mom was a secretary, and my father was a bricklayer who worked his tail off to provide for his wife and kids. So I come from humble beginnings. Yes, I've made my fortunes helping the rich get richer. But I have a bigger mission these days. I want to share my best ideas with hardworking Americans like my parents. I want to show everyday folks like you how to be on the winning side of Trump's second term. That's why I convinced my publisher to give you a big discount today. Subscriptions to Growth Investor retail at $499 per year. But for a limited time, you can get everything I mentioned here for a fraction of the retail price. And you don't even have to decide right now. Take the next 90 days to test drive my research. If you're not happy with your subscription for any reason, simply let us know during the next 90 days. And you'll receive a full refund for every penny you paid, no questions asked. And you can keep all my research, including all the 5 special reports I mentioned here today. That means the subscription has zero risk to you. Just keep in mind, all investing carries risk. Past performance is no guarantee for future results. You should never invest more than you would be comfortable losing. To get started and to receive immediate access to everything I've detailed here, simply click on the Join Now button on your screen. This will take you to a secure order form where you can review everything one last time before you join. Remember, you don't have to decide now. You can take the next 90 days to read all my research, get all the names and ticker symbols, and decide later if it's right for you. I can only offer this kind of money-back guarantee because I'm 100% confident that you'll find my research the best investment advisory you've ever seen. Rather than asking for your money back, it's far more likely you'll be sending notes like this one from subscriber Karam G. He said it's been a month since I joined in order to give your service a try. To be candid, I'm very pleasantly surprised by the quality and presentations, especially when compared to a few other services that I've tried. I closed a partial position that I initiated based on your recommendations, with over $25,000 of profits. Kenji wrote in saying this: I always wonder where investing newsletters get their testimonials and whether they are real. But with Navellier, they must be, because I have made well over $100,000 in the last year on just 2 of Louis' recommendations, Navellier and IIN. Your newsletters are the only ones I read religiously. And Betty S. wrote, I bought Apple at $30 per share for an investment of $3,000. I now have approximately 3,241 shares worth approximately $422,000. I've always wanted to thank you. Thank you. I also bought TMO at your buy signal of $85 and never touched it, and now it's approximately $434 a share. So thank you again. Take care, and I'm forever grateful. I'm sharing these notes because I sincerely believe you could be the next success story. So please click the button on your screen to get started, because I believe Trump could be the most transformational president in history. I believe his pro-business policies will trigger the best 4-year period for stocks in U.S. history. We might never again see an opportunity like this again. And with my research, I'll tell you exactly which stocks to buy and which ones to avoid. Click the button on your screen to get started. I'm looking forward to welcoming you to Growth Investor. Thank you for watching today.